Hello everybody, my name is Brian Erwin, Principal at Stimpson Community School and indeed the Post-16 Centre. I'm pleased that you are taking time to look at our prospectus. This year it's going to be virtual. I'm pleased that you're considering our sixth form centre. There are three reasons why you should be considering. One is that we're in the top 10% of the country for value added. That means that we get more out of our young people coming through our Post-16 centre than any other centres around the country. Number two, the results, the outcomes. It's not just about adding value, but it's getting those results that get you to the destination, which is the third reason for choosing Stimpson. With over 3/4 of our students achieving the university or indeed the apprenticeship placement of their first choice. Please take the opportunity to explore the rich and vast information that we have on offer to help you choose your next stage, if it is at Stimpson Community School. And I look forward to meet and greet you in person, hopefully in July. But in the meantime, the hard work needs to be put in. So keep going on, keep studying, and making sure that you're trying to do everything possible to get those grades, because there are entrance requirements that are as high as any other centre, so that you succeed. Thank you for watching. I'm now going to hand you over to Mr. Abbott, who's the Assistant Principal and Raising Standards Leader for Post-16, and he's going to go through a lot of the information that you will require.
Hello, my name is Mr. Abbott. I've been at Stimpson since 2008, so I may have taught many of your older brothers or sisters. Okay, I've been here as head of sixth form since 2015, where I've actually been running the sixth form for the last 3 years single-handedly. I'm here to talk to you about our range of courses in the sixth form, about the reasons for choosing Stimpson, and then I'll be attending a live Q&A session, hopefully answering some of the questions that you may have following these videos. These quotes that are on the flash screen are from our most recent Ofsted inspection. I'd like to draw your attention to some of the key points there. Ofsted identified that the outcomes for our students are good and improving, and attainment in the sixth form is rapidly improving. And certainly the results since that inspection in 2016 have vindicated those judgments. We've had some amazing successes, and this is our sort of last results day pre-COVID, with students there, certainly not social distancing, but celebrating the successes they had achieved. All of the students there achieved the highest A-level grades. In fact, Thomas on the bottom left corner there achieved 3 A stars in his A-levels, the very highest grades possible. And that results have been indicated by our ALPS progress measure. ALPS is the A-level performance system and is a national measure looking at schools across the country based on what grades students achieve in their GCSEs compared to what they achieve at the end of year 13 in their A-levels or level 3 BTECs. And based on that measure, we've achieved the top 25%, what ALPS call red hot on their thermometer, consistently over the last 5 years. In fact, last year, we were actually an ALPS 1 school. That means we were rated the top 1% of sixth forms nationally based on our progress of our students, something we're incredibly proud of. Those are the results behind there. Our 2021 results showed that 62% of our students achieved the highest grades, A star to B grades, with 87.3% achieving A star to C and a 100% pass rate. And we're delighted to say we've maintained that for the last 5 years. No student has failed an A-level or a level 3 course at Stimpson for the last 5 years. And that's something we intend to continue. The average A-level grade at Stimpson last year was a B equals. Okay, so across all the grades that were sat, the average grade was a B. We're equally proud of our level 3 results. These are for vocational courses. I'll speak more about those in a moment. But just over half of students achieved the highest 2 grades, distinction star or distinction. And again, 100% of students passed their vocational courses. Here are some of the individuals who led to those outcomes. Every student on this slide here achieved at least 3 A's, with some of those students doing vocational courses as well. and we're going to talk about where those students actually went to. And for us at Kent Stimpson, it's not just about university, but an increasing number of students do choose that as their pathway. It's also about choosing higher level apprenticeships. Many of our students now achieve their first choice universities. In fact, the majority do so. And that includes places at leading Russell Group universities, including Oxbridge. We have sent students on to Cambridge in recent years, and other leading universities such as Durham, Birmingham, Leeds, Manchester, Newcastle, and further afield. We've recently sent students on to Aberdeen and St Andrews in Scotland. We also have a very skilled team to support students in achieving those higher and degree level apprenticeships, and more students are now considering that as a pathway. And if students decide not to go on to university or apprenticeships, we support them in achieving full-time employment. Here are the figures from last year. So 89% of our students went on to university, with a further 8% going into apprenticeships or employment. We do have year 14 at Kent Stimpson, so some students decide to stay with us for one more year to achieve their places at their first choice destinations. And nearly a third of our students last year went on to one of the leading research-led universities, the Russell Group. This slide just shows where some of those destinations were. So as I mentioned previously, some of those leading universities such as Birmingham, York, Durham. On this slide here, Liverpool, Manchester, Warwick. So it really is up to the students where they want to go, but we will support them in achieving their first choice destination. Another reason to choose us is about creating memories. Being part of a sixth form is about making lifelong friends and making memories that you're going to look back upon proudly in the future. And here are some of our students at various Leavers events celebrating leaving their friends of the sixth form, making those friends who will stay with them throughout their university years. And here we took a group of students to Activity World. Just after the PP exams, we hired out Activity World for a sixth form private hire. You can see them having a really good time there, pretending they were 5 years old once again. So that was a reward for hard work and commitment. Okay, I'm now going to speak about the curriculum choices and how students choose what courses they should be studying when they're in the sixth form. Now, we have a very wide range of courses at Kent Stimpson. We have traditional A-levels, and I'll come on to the range of A-levels we have in a moment, but we also have one of the widest ranges of level 3 vocational courses within Peterborough. And I'll talk about what a vocational course is and how they're different to traditional A-level academic courses. We also offer GCSEs in English and Maths resits, and they are compulsory for anybody who's not achieved a grade 3, a grade 4 or above, so anybody with a grade 3 or below. That is the case for any post-16 provider, whether not be a sixth form or a further education college. If you don't achieve a grade 4 in English or Maths, English and Maths, then you obviously need to resit those. So we do have that provision within our sixth form. Now, one thing that's different about Kent Stimpson compared to some other providers is that we do recommend students consider 4 courses. You study a subject for 5 hours per week in the sixth form. So if you do 4 subjects, that will be 20 hours of curriculum time per week on your timetable. You'll still have 5 hours of study periods, but that 4th subject gives you a backup plan, a safety net. And it means that if you decide that the course isn't to your liking, not enjoying the course, or maybe you're not doing as well on that course, you've got the option to then drop that 4th option and go down to 3. By the time you get to year 13, all students will choose their 3 strongest subjects and the 3 that will link to where they want to go in the future, to their chosen university or apprenticeship destination. But we do consider the 4th subject in year 12 as a very useful backup plan. And that is something that we will encourage you to consider as you're picking your options. When you have those subjects decided, you do need to remember that if you do need to reset a GCSE in English and or Maths, that will have to take priority. And that if it's taught at the same time as another subject, we'll have to replace that subject. So it's really, really important this year to make sure you get those English and Maths qualifications so you've got the freedom to choose the subjects you want to do in the sixth form. So going into what an A-level is, A-levels I'm sure many of your parents will be aware of, very traditional qualifications. I did A-levels myself back in the late 90s, traditional, exam-based. We do still have AS levels in some of our courses. That's a one-year course, which then leads on to an A-level in the second year. But most A-levels now have gone back to the old method, what they were before 2000, of two-year courses, with all the examinations at the end of the second year of the course. Our A-level entry requirement is 6 GCSE grades at grade 4 or above with English and Maths, and many of those subjects will have higher requirements. So my own subject, economics, requires a grade 6 in English and Maths. The sciences are going to require high grades in the sciences. Maths will require a grade 7 in Maths. I'm not going to read all of those A-level courses to you, but we do have a wide range of A-level courses. Each of those courses will depend upon numbers, and I'll speak more about that in a moment. The alternative, though, at Kent Stimpson is a vocational pathway. And as I mentioned, we have one of the widest ranges of vocational courses available in the city of Peterborough. Those courses may be BTECs, OCR courses, WJC courses, RSL certificates, and they can be done as one-year courses or as two-year courses. So either as a certificate or as an extended certificate or even a diploma. They tend to be majority coursework based, which means that you can improve your work as you go along, but all vocational courses now have some level of examination, and that's a reform that the government made a few years ago. They do have similar entry requirements to our A-level courses, but they tend to be a little bit more accessible. So you may be able to get onto those courses with 6 grade 4s or 6 grade 4s and 5s. They won't tend to be as high entry requirements as A-levels, but they are still challenging courses. They're also highly valued by employers because they develop your research skills and your independent learning. And this, again, I'm not going to read the slide to you, but that covers a range of our vocational pathways we have at Kent Stimpson. Lots of social sciences options there, very, very popular. Many students from outside of Kent Stimpson come to us because of our expertise in those courses there. Now, I need to be clear, at this stage, all of the courses that we're advertising in this virtual assembly and on our prospectus are provisional. We will use the following criteria to decide whether or not those courses are going to run. Firstly, do we have sufficient numbers? And we work on the basis that 7 being the magic number for a course to run, but we may allow some courses to run on smaller numbers. Also, the students on that course need to make sure they've got the course entry requirements. Clearly, we're not going to set students up to fail, so if the students don't have the requirements for that course, the course won't be able to run. And then we need to make sure we can staff the courses. A-levels and level 3 courses require very specific staff skills, and if a member of staff were to move on over the next few months, or we were not able to recruit a suitable replacement, we wouldn't be able to run the course. So those are our key criteria before we go ahead with running any courses in September. Now, today, the blocks have not been decided. So it's not a case of you looking back at what courses we ran last year. We'll be removing those from the website and putting up a new set of blocks in January. The reason why we'll do that in January is because based on what this year group's students apply for, we will create blocks to meet your needs. Now, I can't promise I'm going to be able to please all of the students all of the time. We'll be very honest here. We will do our very best, but there may be some subject combinations that do create clashes. But what we'll try and do is make sure that people can do the courses that they want to do here at Kent Stimpson for next September. So when you choose subjects, we do recommend you choose 4. Okay, it may be that you choose 3 and maybe do an academic enrichment alongside that. I'll speak about that in a few moments. If you know you'd like to resit GCSE English and Maths, okay, it's still possible to apply to our 6th form, but we may factor that in when we're looking at your timetable. So it may be we can look at a vocational pathway, doing some of the BTEC type courses alongside a reset in Maths, for example. And it's important to be very realistic about what grade you're likely to achieve. So if you think you're going to get a 3 in Maths at the end of this year, but maybe a grade 5 in English, then it would be quite possible to do some of the vocational courses that don't require that Maths. But you're clearly not going to be able to do A-level Maths or sciences or business, which clearly requires a grade 5 and above in Maths. We also put a careers lesson onto your timetable, and that's important about preparing you for university or for the apprenticeships when you leave us at the end of year 13. So how do I make the choices? Okay, this is the sort of criteria I'd be using if I was in your shoes. I'm saying here, visit the stands. Actually, this is a virtual briefing, so go to the different subject videos and speak to the staff in school, if you're obviously at our school already. Lots of new options. So don't assume you know what those subjects are. Lots of things to consider. Discuss the options with your staff, okay, and maybe students in the sixth form already. You can't do it at the stand tonight, but you can certainly go around and speak to the staff in school. Be realistic about the level of the course that you're going to do, okay. If you know you're not going to get a grade 7 in maths, don't consider A-level maths. Consider something a bit more accessible. Maybe you're looking for the fourth subject to be an AS level, something you can do just for 1 year and drop at the end of the year. So something like maybe like business or sociology, that can be done as a 1-year course. Think about what you want to do after post-16. Certain career routes require a very specific combination of A-levels. So if you want to be a dentist, for example, you'll need to be doing biology and chemistry. There is a term called facilitating subjects. That's a term that universities, particularly those Rush Group universities, like to use. And those are subjects that open the doors to a wide range of careers. So I did English literature, history and maths when I was in the sixth form. They didn't clearly relate to what I teach now, business and economics, but they did allow me to go into that field because they keep your options open. And you're not entirely sure, maybe don't narrow your options down too much, but do some broad subjects. And that facilitating list is a good starting point there. And then the key criteria, those final three I've highlighted in red there. What am I good at? What do I enjoy? And how do I like to learn? Those are the key criteria I would be using. There's no point studying a course for 2 years if you don't enjoy it, even if you think it might look good on your CV. Likewise, there's no point choosing a subject that you've not been successful at GCSE, and choose a subject which is going to be assessed in the way in which you like to learn. So if you prefer coursework, the vocational pathway may be for you. If you're good at exams, then I would suggest an A-level option may be your preferred choice. Another reason to choose Ken Stimpson is our varied and wide-ranging enrichment programme. We provide work experience, and as part of your futures or careers lessons, you'll work with our careers team to secure a work experience placement for the end of year 12. And we do collapse the final 2 weeks in the summer term for year 12 to go out on work experience and gain valuable skills and experience that can help you enhance your CV and your UCAS application if you are choosing to go on to university. We try and enhance your cultural opportunities, your cultural capital, and looking to get involved in conferences, theatre trips, visits to galleries. I've taken the entire sixth form in the last 2 years round a number of galleries in London to visit the House of Commons and then go on to the Natural History Museum or the Science Museum. We have the opportunity to get involved in school leadership, being part of school council, and clearly the support we do in terms of UCAS applications for university or support for those higher level apprenticeships. Just a couple of personal highlights for me. I actually feature, that's not a student on the right hand side of that photo, it's me, but that was my Young Enterprise group a couple of years ago. I wanted to mention that team because they actually came third in the country. So they're not only the most successful team from Peterborough or the most successful team from Cambridgeshire, but they're the third best team in the country in that particular year. And Ken Stimpson has a proud record of Young Enterprise and something I'd look to continue next year with our new Year 12 group. Another thing I'd just like to mention, I was delighted to be asked to support Mrs Mayfield with this a couple of years ago. She got involved in something called the Bar Mock Trial, and the group of students there are photographed at Nottingham Magistrates Court after competing against other schools in a real courtroom. It's a bit like a TV drama where they were taking on the roles of barristers and jury members and competing against other schools in terms of cross-examination. A real highlight, and something again I'm very keen to see return in these now post-COVID times. This slide demonstrates some of the academic enrichment and personal enrichment opportunities on offer. That may change next year as we offer further opportunities for you, but currently what we're offering is the finance qualification from the London Institute of Banking and Finance, extended project, which many students in year 13 are taking on to develop their research skills. We've run courses in sports leaders and the Arts Award as additional academic courses that you can do alongside those subject areas. And I've already mentioned Young Enterprise under the Mock Bar Trial, but Duke of Edinburgh is also starting up at the moment with Mr 𝗪𝗲𝗍𝗄. The chance to be involved in the school council, to be a faculty ambassador, a mental health champion, I've mentioned work experience already, buddying and paired reading. So lots of opportunities you can do to develop your skills and enhance those UCAS applications. Okay, so finally I'm going to talk you through now the post-16 application process from where we are today right to starting those Year 12 courses next September. So the first big event coming up will be your Year 11 PPEs. Now when I'm interviewing you for the sixth form, I'll be looking at your PPE results as an indicator about what level you're likely to achieve in those final GCSE exams. Now this year, I don't think I need to say it, but I'll say it anyway, it's really, really important to take PPE seriously. Students over the last couple of years have had this message drummed home. Previously, PPEs may have been seen as mocks, and we deliberately don't use the term mocks. We do talk about pre-public examinations because due to COVID, those results were used as part of the teacher assessed grades or the centre assessed grades. And as we're still not entirely sure what's going to happen in terms of next year, Plan B could involve your PPEs. So I stress to you that when you start those PPEs on the 22nd of November, take those incredibly seriously. Your teachers will be assessing on what you can do and allowing you to demonstrate the progress you've made so far, but it's important that you do your bit and make sure you take them seriously. The deadline for applications that we're opening today will be on the 3rd of December. That allows us then to prepare the blocking ready for you to choose the subjects you want to be given taster sessions on the 7th of January. So that's the first Friday back after the Christmas holiday. And everybody who's going to a sixth form, either here or another sixth form, will come to a post-16 taster day at Ken Stimpson sixth form. We will also have provision for students who want to go on to college, where they'll get a college experience. I will pledge to have interviewed you all. Okay, you'll all have a personal interview with me, about half an hour with me in my sixth form office, prior to the 11th of February. So we can send you a personal invitation to join our sixth form. Okay, it'll be a provisional offer letter based upon achieving the right grades for those courses. But those letters will go out by February half term. So that's my deadline, the 11th of February, to be able to write to you all, to you and your parents, make you an offer to join our sixth form. We then have a further set of PPEs in March. We call those your finals because those will be the final set of exams you do before the real exams, which will take place in May. And the government have made it very clear that they expect exams to go ahead this year. There may need to be some alternative arrangements because of COVID, but the expectation is there will be a full set of exams taking place in May. After the exams have been concluded, we have a post-16 induction. That will be 8 days this year, starting on the 27th of June and finishing on Wednesday, the 6th of July. That is the day before our Year 11 prom, which will be on Thursday, the 7th of July. So a key date for your diaries there, everybody. The results will then be released on Thursday, the 25th of August. The government have published that date. Okay, again, we're not expecting any movement to that now, so that will be results day. I will be in school to support you on results day, so if results haven't gotten quite as well as you'd hoped, I'll be here to have meetings with you and your parents if need be, to discuss obviously what options you have. And then Year 12 will start formally in September, although your courses will start during induction. That induction are not taster sessions. The taster sessions are in January. The induction session will be the start of your courses, and everybody joining our sixth form in September will be expected to start with us on the 27th of June. That's our current students and any external students joining us. So just some final points about the application process. Before you actually do any applications, discuss your options with your parents, your subject teachers, your careers team. Okay, discuss obviously what it is you want to do and what courses will help you achieve that. The initial applications need to be made by the Friday the 3rd of December, and the process opens today. So you'll be able to go onto our website, and when you're ready to do so, to apply. You can change your options, so when you actually have your interview with me, we'll discuss if you need to make any tweaks to your options, and maybe following taster day, you might want to make some tweaks to your options. But certainly it's worth applying now, so we can create those blocks. And if you're not sure where you're applying for, apply for a number of institutions. Apply to us in another sixth form, apply to us in a college. But if you don't make an application, you won't have any influence on how those blocks are created. So I need to see what students might want to do so I can choose the right blocks to make sure subjects you want to do don't clash. If you don't apply to us until August, by that stage it'll be too late to have any influence on the blocking. And the way you apply is you go to this dedicated post-16 section of our school website. So it's kscs.org.uk/post16. Okay, in a normal year, I would obviously be available to talk to you and answer any questions, and people might be coming to the front of the hall to speak to me. We can't do that in person, but the next best option is for me to be here for a virtual question and answer. So I'm now going to stay online. I'm going to be available to answer your questions. Please obviously ask anything. I'll answer honestly and then try and help you. If there are specific questions that might need to be answered by a subject specialist, I'll take a note of those questions, and we're going to make sure our subject specialists are on hand to phone you back, not necessarily this evening, but in the next week or so, to be able to answer those questions for you.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I say everybody because I'm sat in a room on my own at the moment, but I'm assuming you're out there in the virtual world ready for your questions. We do have one already coming through. Somebody's asked that biology is missing from the application form. The IT tell me that's a technical blip and that's been resolved. So once the cache is cleared, whatever that means, you'll be able to then see biology on there and be able to apply for that. So somebody's clearly very keen and already looking to make their application. That's excellent. Do we have any other questions? Oh, there's one more come through about uniform. Okay, yeah. We haven't promoted a uniform at this stage. We will talk about that during post-16 induction, but we will be given a copy of a sheet like this with a letter we'll send you prior to 𝗪𝗱𝗃𝗍 Day, because for the 𝗪𝗱𝗃𝗍 Day in January, that's the 7th of January, the first Friday back after Christmas, we will be asking you to come dressed as a post-16 student, so in our dress code. It's different from obviously school uniform, you've got more freedom there, but as a food pointers, we expect a tie to be worn with a shirt like I'm wearing now. We don't expect you to wear suits per se, but you can if you want to. It is smart business dress, and we'll give out some information about that prior to 𝗪𝗱𝗃𝗍 Day. So more information to follow on that one. It is on the website, so I've downloaded this from our induction handbook, but there is a copy of that on the website. So if you want to have a look at that and start planning ahead on what you would wear if you were joining sixth form, and also obviously have a look at what our current sixth formers are wearing, because if they're not wearing the right uniform, we do turn them away at the gate. Okay, it's very different from being in lower school. You don't get put in IEU if the uniform's not right. We send you home to change. I've got a question, which subjects do I recommend to become a doctor? Medicine is an interesting one in terms of UCAS. They have an earlier deadline. So the normal UCAS deadline is going to be around about the 15th of January. With COVID, they pushed it back a little bit, so I think it's the 25th this year. But the deadline for Oxbridge, which is Oxford and Cambridge, and for medicine and dentistry, veterinary science, is the 15th of October. So we had 5 students apply for Oxbridge last year, and they had to meet that deadline. We've had 1 student who wants to be a dentist this year, and we've already sent her UCAS form off. To be a doctor, you are sticking to that list of facilitating subjects, the very traditional subjects, and actually even more narrowly, you're looking for biology and chemistry and maths, I would say, would be the standard subjects for medicine, dentistry, veterinary science. So 2 sciences, normally biology and chemistry, and maths is always very popular. But certainly the 2 sciences. There's a question here saying, are they going to base what they choose for A-levels on predicted grades, or GCSEs come into factor as well? We are going to look at your predicted grades, but we'll also look at your PPE performance, so how you've done in those exams. We'll look at your target grades. So it's going to be a number of pieces of data we will look at. And when I meet with you, we'll discuss that data in my office. Parents are welcome to come in for those meetings. So if your parents would like to come, if they just send me an email, then obviously they can arrange for a time where we're all available to meet together. But yeah, it's not just on predicted grade, it's on a number of pieces of data. So what your targets are, what your current predictions are, how you've been doing in your PPD, in your predicted performance data, how you've done in your mocks. What we're not going to do is set you up to fail. So if some of our courses have very high very high entry requirements, such as maths, for example, which requires a grade 7, further maths requires a grade 8, we wouldn't put somebody who's only predicted a grade 4 into that maths group. So we will be realistic with you, but we will try and obviously give you an aspirational target there. So if you're maybe one grade below where you need to be, we will make you an offer for that course, but we're very clear to you that you need to make that offer for results day. Do we get a copy of a timeline for the rest of the year? Yeah, I'm sure we can make those slides available that were shown to you on the website, so we can send that out. We can send that out via email to the students as well. Those dates are now set, so they're not going to change, including the date of the prom and results day, taster day. If multiple sixth forms are applied for with different conditional offers, which induction do you go to? As many as possible. So this year we had some students from another local centre. Our induction this year, we did 4 weeks, which was far longer than anybody else. But we wanted to give students the chance to replace some of that lost learning from GCSE. Many centres did just 1 or 2 days. Next year, our induction will be the best part of a week and a half. So it will start on the Monday, full week, and then we'll do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the next week. We'll give you the Thursday off so you can get your spray tans and your nails done ready for the prom. But that induction will be over those periods. Now, another school might have a 2-day induction and it might clash, but you would come to as much of ours as you could and then go to theirs as well. But to make an informed choice, you need to go to all of the inductions. It's like when students apply for university. We recommend they go and visit the 5 universities they've applied for before they narrow it down to their firm choice and their insurance choice, because you can't do that if you've not checked out all the different institutions, and that applies for induction. The induction will be after your GCSEs are finished, and therefore we recommend that you use that time to go and see the other schools as well. I certainly wouldn't be applying for a school I haven't actually spent some time in. For those students who have an EHCP, that's an Education, Health and Care Plan, our allowance is made in terms of grades needed for acceptance. We will obviously support you with your EHCP, but that doesn't mean that you can get onto a course with lower entry requirements. The entry requirements are in place to make sure you achieve academic success. So we've had a number of students with EHCPs in the past achieve very, very high grades, but we need to make sure that you're on appropriate courses. And so it will depend upon what your particular learning needs are. We will make reasonable adjustments, but clearly we need to make sure you're on a suitable course. Is sport and exercise science more theory-based or practical? And also, what can that subject lead to in the future? Okay, so that course is a BTEC. It's not A-level PE, it is a BTEC course. I think Mr. Bradley is currently looking at tweaking the course slightly, because the course he's done at the moment is very much theory-based. It's quite academic, and he was looking at raising entry requirements. But to make it more accessible, he's now considering just offering a BTEC sport rather than BTEC and enterprise science. He will obviously explain that at the taster day, exactly what the course is going to be, but it will be a BTEC sport course, not A-level PE. It tends to lead to routes into the sport and leisure industry. So it can lead into sports science professions, being a PE teacher. Some people want to be physiotherapists, so a range of careers. The best person to talk to about careers is the careers team. So I'm sat here in the careers hub, and Mrs. Ayre is the best person to talk to about those. What is the timetable like? So we run to the school day. All of our lessons take place in the normal school lessons, but you won't have a full timetable. You will have 5 hours per subject. If the subject is on very low numbers, and that might be this year French has only got 3 students, we wouldn't necessarily allow it to have a full 5 hours, but we would give you some additional study time. So you might have 4 hours with the French teachers and an extra study lesson. But typically you will have 5 hours per subject. So if you do the minimum 3 subjects, you will then have 10 hours of non-contact time. And they're not called freeze. The word freeze is banned in the 6th form. They are study lessons. And that study time can be spent in school or at home. And it used to be we asked students to stay on school for the study periods, but as a result of COVID and allowing social distancing, we've allowed our sixth form to study at home over the last 2 years, and they've really responded to that well. There's not been a drop in performance, so we're going to continue to allow next year's cohort to spend their study times at home. But I always say in sixth form induction, with great power comes great responsibility, a quote I've nicked from Spider-Man. And if you're given those responsibilities, you clearly need to live up to those. If you were underperforming, we might ask you then to come and spend your study time in school. But in terms of what the timetable's like, sixth form lessons tend to be 2-2-1 in terms of the block. So you might have a double, maybe with the same teacher, but maybe with 2 different teachers. So one of the subjects I teach, business, is taught by 3 different teachers. So different teachers teach different topics. Very different from GCSE, where you might have 1 teacher for the full 3 lessons, but you will have 5 hours per week of each subject, and that will be spread across the week. You could have a day where you don't have any lessons, the way the blocks might fall, and you could then spend that at home. But you would be spending it at home studying. It's not a day in bed day or an Xbox day, it's obviously a study day. Okay, if they get low grades across all subjects, can they do post-16? I'm afraid not. Our minimum entry requirement is 6 grade 4s. So when we talk about low grades, to answer that question, if we're talking about 1s and 2s or 3s, I'm afraid that wouldn't be possible at our sixth form centre. We don't have level 2 provision anymore. The only level 2 courses we have, level 2 is GCSE equivalent, okay, is the English and Maths resits. But if you need level 2 provision, I think there's one other sixth form centre, 𝗡nci𝘃𝗲𝗆𝗆, which offers level 2 provision, and you may need to check that out if that's the sort of direction you're heading, or the college. And my recommendation would be probably a vocational course at a college if you achieve low GCSE grades. We are a level 3 centre, and so to access our courses, you do need to be getting the majority of level 3 courses. But that doesn't mean that you have to get all grade 4s and above. You could maybe get a couple of low grades. And even if you get English or Maths at grade 3, you could resit that in the sixth form. But certainly you need to meet the requirements for each course. So on the website, you can download flyers like this. Okay, this is one for economics. I've got applied psychology here as 2 examples. Economics requires the minimum of the 6 grade 4s, but it requires a grade 5 in both English and Maths. And so we typically ask for a grade 6 in those, but a minimum of a grade 5 in English and Maths to access that course. If you haven't got that, you're going to struggle on such an academic A level, and therefore we'd be setting you up to fail, and we don't do that. What courses would be best for a career in policing? Again, this is outside of my expertise. I'm not a qualified careers advisor, that's Mrs. Eyre's job. But we do have some courses which we know people have studied and have gone into the police. So criminology is an excellent route into policing. Keep your options open, I would say, is quite varied. Some people have done BTEC sport, and that's been quite useful for going into the police. It's really gaining about a varied range of skills. My own brother was a policeman. He was an armed response police officer in London, and he didn't do sixth form at all. Okay, now I'm not suggesting you don't do sixth form, but he left school at 16 and worked in a gym for 3 or 4 years, and then entered the police as a mature candidate. So you don't necessarily need an A-level background for the police, but they look for a lot of life experience, getting involved in cadets. But I'd suggest a varied range of subjects there, but criminology seems an obvious one there. Is there a limit of people who can do A-levels? So does that mean a maximum group size? I think. So the minimum we say is 7 for a course to run on full numbers, but we will look at a case-by-case basis. So we have allowed some subjects, such as French, which wasn't going to run the other sixth forms. We allowed it to run here with 3 students. Okay, I'm not saying we'll always do that. It depends on the timetable. In terms of the maximum, though, we tend to cap a group at 25. But criminology was so popular this year, we've actually employed another social sciences teacher, and we put on an additional block. So we started with up to 50 people being able to do criminology and put it onto 2 blocks. And we are very flexible, and we will do our best to meet your needs. So if there is such demand, then we will look at putting on additional blocks and seeing how we can obviously make that work for you. And that's the same in terms of moving a block. That's why we now have an open blocking model. I'm not coming here this evening saying this is where business is going to be, this is where history is going to be, this is where economics is going to be, because it could cause a clash for you. What we will do is wait for the applications to roll in, and we'll see what model works for this year's incoming year 12. Can you have a part-time job doing post-16? as a business studies teacher, I'm going to encourage that as a head of sixth form, I'm going to suggest that you need to limit the number of hours you work. Quite a lot, I'd say at least half of our sixth form have currently got part-time jobs. The recommended limit, though, is no more than about 15 hours in year 12, and trying to cut that down even more to about 10 hours maximum in year 13, when obviously you've got those all-important exams coming up. The old days, I would say, work on a Thursday night, so like in Queensgate, when I was in retail management, sort of a half a day on Saturday and all a day on Sunday. And if you did that, you're talking about 15 hours of work. But certainly, if you're working every night of the week in Morrison's, then I would suggest that you're probably becoming a full-time employee and not a full-time student. And I have had conversations with students over the years, do you want a full-time job in 𝗡𝗃𝗪𝗂, or do you want a full-time course at Ken Stimpson? Because you can't do both. So I encourage you to gain a part-time work, to gain some extra income, and obviously get those valuable life skills, that experience. Looks really good on your UCAS application when you can talk about the extra skills you've got from working in customer service, but I would discourage you from working too much. If you need to resit maths or English, can you start A-levels at the same time, or do you need to pass those first? No, what you would do is you would resit the subjects in November, but you would still start your A-levels and level 3 courses in September. The issue is many of our courses require grade 4 or 5 in English, and others might require a grade 5 or above in maths. So some of the courses that you could start would be limited, because each course not only has the minimum requirement of 6 grade 4s, but has subject-specific requirements. So if you need to resit English, you won't be able to do English A-level, or English Literature A-level, or History A-level, or Politics A-level, because all of those are essay-based subjects and require you to be able to obviously write at a high level and have a higher than a grade 4 in English. Maths, though, is not as important for some of the social sciences courses, for example. You don't need maths to do BTEC Law or Criminology, but you do need maths at a very high level to do physics or to do chemistry. So to answer the question, can you start A-levels without English or maths? It depends on what subject they are. On the whole, you won't need English and maths to do our vocational courses, okay? So you could resit those and do the BTEC courses, but that also depends on the course. Applied psychology wants 555 in English, maths and the science, so you wouldn't be able to start that course without English and maths. What happens if you need a subject for your future? Have only a few people choose it? That's one of the saddest times for me as a head of sixth form, because that's where I have to make you a recommendation to go elsewhere. So a couple of years ago, we had some students who wanted to be maths teachers or engineers, and they needed maths, further maths and physics. And at that particular year, we only had one person who wanted to do further maths and 2 people who wanted to do physics. And that was not viable to run a group. We looked at it, but it just wasn't going to be possible. So I had to recommend that they went to a school down the road. Sad for me, sad for them, because they really wanted to stay with us. They were really good students. We would have loved to have had them in our sixth form centre. But I will be failing you if I make you a recommendation to do a course which is not going to get you where you want to be. So the recommendation for them was they transfer to another school where far more people wanted to do those A-levels. So we will keep you here if we can. If you have got the grade you need, which is the 6th grade 4s and above, okay, if you need level 2, we will work with you to advise you to find a suitable level 2 centre or college. If we can run the course here, we will. But if it's not running, we will work with you to find the next best place for you to go. What is the passing grade for science and maths? I think that means the entry requirements. So there's a document on the website called the admission criteria, and I'm going to look at that now. At the back of that, it's got all of the different entry requirements. So for maths, you need a minimum of a grade 7. For further maths, a minimum of a grade 8. Biology requires a 5 in English language, maths, and a double 6 in combined science, or 2 6s in the triple sciences, certainly a 6 in biology. Chemistry is the same, but we swap the grades for chemistry, so you'd need your 6 in chemistry there, alongside the 5 in English and the 6 in maths. And physics, likewise, needs a 5 in English, a 6 in maths, a 6 in physics, and a 6 in one of the other combined sciences. So high entry requirements for those courses, but they are very academic, and other sixth form centres actually ask for higher grades than that. So there is a school in the centre of town which would be wanting 7s and 8s in science rather than 6s. So our courses are a little bit more accessible, and because of our very good teaching in the sixth form, we're able to get students through those courses, even if their grades are a little bit lower, but we can't lower them any further. I had a student from another school wanted to join our sixth form and he didn't have grade sixes in science. He was trying to get on with fours and fives, and I wouldn't allow that because he wouldn't have got through the course. If you're applying to a different school, can we also apply to Kent Stimpson? Yes, I encourage you to do so. Please make multiple applications. I always compare this to applying to university. When you apply for university, you choose 5. You can choose 1, but the recommendation is you choose 5. You put out your application, you see what offers you get. You might get a rejection, and that could be the case for applying for a sixth form. You could apply to the most competitive school in Peterborough and get rejected, okay? Some people will be rejected from our sixth form because they won't meet the entry requirements. But if you then get offers back, say from 4 sixth forms, on results day, then you have the really tough decision of choosing which one you want to go to, okay? We do have some students who go off to other schools and come back. I think this year it's been 7 from memory, 2 who went to other sixth forms and changed back, and 5 who've come back to us from college, okay? The grass is not always green on the other side, but I would suggest you actually apply to Kent Stimpson alongside other schools and see what offers you get. It may be we offer the courses you want to do, somewhere else might offer even better courses. It may be that you don't get an offer from us, but certainly apply. If you're really undecided what you want to do as a career, what would I suggest BTEC-wise? That's a really interesting one. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I've got a very varied sort of GCSE background. I did French and Italian, so I did 2 languages. I did DT graphics and art, so I could have done sort of the art and animation route. Wasn't sure, so I also did English literature, history and maths at A-level, keep my option open, and I still wasn't sure then, so I did business studies as a degree because I thought, well, at least I work in some sort of business, and then I wasn't sure, so I became a teacher. So it's difficult if you're not really sure what you want to do. From a BTEC perspective though, try and keep a bit of variety in there. So maybe do a social sciences course, maybe something like law is really interesting, maybe do a business option like enterprise, maybe do a sport option. Keep a bit of variety, because if you're not sure, narrowing things down too much at this stage, I think is unwise. So if you did all of the social sciences, BTEC law, BTEC applied psychology, WJC criminology, which is like a BTEC, it's a vocational course, that would suggest you're going down the sort of legal studies route to become a lawyer or a barrister or a legal secretary or something, and that's quite narrow. Whereas if you do a range of different BTECs, you've still got that option. Another technical issue, chemistry is missing from the application form, that's going to be added back. The reason why the application form had to be changed today is once we get the blocks set up in January, so I will create the blocks after the application deadline closes on the 3rd of December. And then what we will do is we'll put the subjects into the option blocks they're going to be in for next year, and the website will change because they will be in blocks. At the moment, we've got an open blocking model, so you should be able to choose anything. It doesn't matter if you choose chemistry in A and biology in B and physics in C. They won't necessarily be in A, B and C. At the moment, every subject is in every box. But what we will do is once the applications come in, we'll start putting you into blocks, thinking, okay, well, those people all want to do business, those people all want to do history, so we'll separate business and history into 2 blocks, and we'll try and get a combination that has not too many clashes in. But yeah, at the moment, that's why some of the subjects weren't on the list, but they will be. We'll fix that. At the moment, we believe everything is running. Okay, everything won't run, but at the moment you can work on the basis that everything is currently running. I think the only exception is probably A-level French, because everybody in year 11 has been taught Italian. But if I had 10 people who want to do French coming to us from other local schools, because we've got a reputation for teaching French here, we could still put French on. But it's not going to be for our current year 11s because they haven't been prepared for that. You can't really do an A-level if you haven't done a GCSE in a language. If you need a certain subject for your interested career, but only if people choose it, what would happen? Well, firstly, we would look at the viability of running it, because we're not saying that 7 is definite. If we've got 4 or 5, so when we say a few people, it depends on how few. If few is 1, we're not going to run a course for 1 person. It's not private tuition. And I would say the same for 2. So the smallest we've ran is free for French. And that was because the students who wanted to do French needed to do it for their chosen careers. It was really important to them, and we could staff it. We had qualified teachers and we had time on the timetable. But we've got to look at that on a case-by-case basis. So when I interview you, I will talk to you about what career you want to do. We'll talk about the subjects you have to do, and we'll work on the basis of trying to make that work here. If it becomes clear that we're not going to be able to run the course at Ken Stimpson, you will have a second interview, and that normally obviously involves parents at that stage, where we'll talk about where else you could do that subject, and we will work with you on independent advice and guidance about making sure you choose the right place. I'm not here just to make you choose Ken Stimpson. As head of sixth form, clearly that is part of my role, but I also need to make sure that you're on the right courses and at the right place. And it is hard, but I have had meetings with Mrs. Eyre where we've had to tell students, I'm sorry, but Ken Stimpson isn't going to be right for you. Okay, you've got to be right for us. We've got to be right for you. It's got to be a mutual beneficial arrangement. So if you don't meet our requirements, then obviously we will have to look to see where you can move elsewhere. If we can't meet your requirements, we will work with you to find another school that can. And we've got partnerships with other schools. And actually, in the past, we've actually done some federation arrangements where some of our students have gone down the road to Queen Catherine and some of their students have come here to study courses to provide more flexibility. Not been able to do that as much this year because they've changed their timetable and we've changed our timetable as a result of COVID, and our school days are no longer in line. But that's not to say we wouldn't be able to do that in the future. And we're going to be working much more closely with 𝗲𝗱𝗆𝗆𝗆 going forward because we're going to be in a multi-academy trust with them. So there's all sorts of possibilities. We will try and be flexible. Do I recommend applying for a college or another sixth form in case Ken Stimpson doesn't get enough applications? Both. Okay. Look at what other schools are offering the courses you want to do and look at colleges. I would recommend that if you're looking to do A-levels, the best place is a sixth form. Okay, look at the entry requirements the courses have, but also look at the success results. Ask those questions. Go to the college and say, what percentage A star to B do you get? What percentage A star to E do you get? I think I can guarantee that our results for A-level will be better than those at the local colleges, and I think the best place to do an A-level is in a college. But likewise, the best place to do a vocational course is often a college. So you need to look at what's more suited. But I would say schools are better for A-levels, colleges are better for things like hairdressing, electrics, construction and so on. If I chose a subject that didn't get enough students for it to take place, would I get to choose a second? Yes, absolutely. Okay. If your course were not to run, so what we will do is on 𝗚𝗃𝗃𝗃 Day, everything will run. But you will know, if you look around the room on 𝗚𝗃𝗃𝗃 Day and there's only 2 of you in the room, then it's probably going to be clear that that course isn't going to be viable. But the teacher's job on 𝗚𝗃𝗃𝗃 Day is to try and make sure they sell their subject. So to show their subject in its best light, to explain what it is, and also to explain the challenges of it. Yeah, A-levels are tough, and the 𝗚𝗃𝗃𝗃 Day is part of learning that as well, learning that this course is not going to be easy. But the 𝗚𝗃𝗃𝗃 Day is trying to convert students who might want to do a subject into they definitely want to do it. But if that isn't going to happen, and we're not going to have a load of external students come in to fill that course up, then we will need to obviously make some tough decisions. And governors have to ratify our curriculum. So the governors won't allow me to run courses with only 2s and 3s, okay, unless there's exceptional reasons. And I can convince the governors there is a reason for doing it. They will say to me, Mr. Abbott, that's not efficient, we can't do that. What I will do then is I will meet with those students and their parents if the parents want to join us for that, and we'll look at their other options. But you would have a second interview. Some of you may even have a third interview. Okay, I will interview people as soon as they start applying. So if you apply this evening, you may be interviewed by me next week. Okay, but I will then look to interview again after 𝗚𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 Day in case you want to change your options. And if any courses can't run, we would interview you again. What happens if I do better in my exams than expected? Should it influence my A-level choices? Well, that's a really positive spin of things, isn't it? You can change your courses following results day. So we do start the courses in induction. So that induction period, end of June, beginning of July, those will be the first so many hours of your lessons. Okay, they're not just tasters. Tasters already happened in January. They are the start of the courses, and we'd expect anybody who's going to join those courses to be there. So it's not holiday time as such. It is part of your course. Okay, and that's why we publish these dates now, so parents can try and avoid booking holidays at clash with induction, because it's a really important time to get used to being in the sixth form. But if you think maybe I'm going to get lots of 4s and 5s and maybe we'll need to do a more vocational BTEC programme, and then you do really well in your results and you've got 6s and 7s, I think actually maybe I should be doing A-levels now. There's nothing to say you can't switch onto A-levels in the first week in September. We do have some students switching around courses throughout the month of September. Less of it happened this year because we did the 4-week induction in June, July. But normally, in a normal year where we've only done a short induction, we do have some course movement in September. And that's inevitable. That's also why we recommend people think about 4 courses, because it does allow you to drop a course if it's not right, or even switch to another course. So yeah, if you do better, you can obviously choose other subjects, but there needs to be a sense of realism when you're choosing your courses. Be aspirational. Think, yeah, I should get a 6 in maths, so I should be able to do economics. Plug my own subject. But be realistic. If there's no chance of getting those grades, then obviously you may want to think about the vocational courses. What happens if you apply to a course and it doesn't get enough applications? Do you reapply? What happens next? No, you won't reapply. So we will close the first stage of applications on the 3rd of December. The form will still be there. Okay, people will still be able to apply because many students from other schools, they apply much later. Some people applied to me on results day. I spent a lot of my holiday in Cornwall last year talking to students from other schools trying to join our 6th form. So yeah, we do get lots of late applications. But once the blocks are established, what I would do then is I'd say to you, this course isn't running, here's the blocks, here's what courses are, and then you'd be able to look at what you want to do instead. So you wouldn't need to do a new application form, but you would meet with me and then we'd make the changes on my master spreadsheet. So all of these forms will be going into one big spreadsheet and that will create the blocks, and then obviously I will meet with you. But every student in year 11 will be on a spreadsheet because we have to show the local authority where everybody's going. We have to make sure you're not becoming a NEET and not in education, employment and training. So we will be tracking you if you're going to college, if you're staying here, if you're going into another centre, we'll be recording that information and we will know what you're doing, and if something's not running, we will obviously change it on our spreadsheet, but all of that is consulted with you. I can guarantee nobody will be just put into a course. It won't be a case of you turn up in induction and it's a surprise you're being put into a course you didn't choose. You'll be consulted with. And I had to do this process last year over the phone because if you remember the schools were closed because of a lockdown. This year I'll be able to come and see you in a lesson, take you out for 5 minutes, talk to you in my office and see if you need to make any tweaks. And likewise, if you want to change things, you can come and find me or send me an email. So there's lots of flexibility there. For post-16 exams, are the grades you get different to GCSE grades? Post-16 you get letters. So we have A star to E, and an E is still a pass, okay? Whereas at GCSE it's a number system, 1 to 9. There is lots of talk from the government about changing A levels, so we go to numbers there. But at the moment, we're still sticking with the letters, the old-fashioned A star to E that it's always been. For the vocational courses, some are A to E, some are a bit like BTECs like you're doing now. So pass, merit, distinction, distinction, star. Okay, but they are all level 3. The equivalency is an A star at A level is broadly equivalent to a distinction star at vocational. An E at A level is broadly equivalent to a pass. They're not exactly. The government do give more UCAS points to the A levels than the vocationals, but not too many more. What grades do I need to get in maths for sociology, psychology and criminology? Okay, again, I refer to the admission criteria which is on the website. You can also refer to the flyers because the bit in the purple box has the grades. But sociology does have something called research methods. It does have some maths content in there. So they want a 5 in English and maths. A-level psychology is sign of the beast, 666 in English, maths and science. That is one of the more academic social sciences subjects. Applied psychology, though, the BTEC route only requires 555 in English, maths and science. And criminology, that's testing me. Don't know that one from memory, let me double check. Criminology requires a 4 in English, maths and science. So criminology is 444. So criminology is the easiest to get access to, then applied psychology and then A-level psychology. So there's a bit of a pathway there. If you're really academic, then you may be looking at the A-level in psychology. It's more vocational, it's the BTEC, and the criminology is the most accessible, but it still requires 4s across the board. If you're not going to be getting 4s, then it may be level 2 elsewhere. How do A-level classes take place? Are they similar to how they run in year 11? You're certainly treated in a more mature manner. Okay, there's a lot more personal responsibility on you. I do believe at GCSE you're spoon-fed. We do a lot for you at GCSE. We put on that now. We're putting on Unit 6 for GCSE, where we're standing there and revising with you. In post 16, we would expect you to be doing your own individual revision. That's not to say we won't put revision sessions on, but the expectation is that you are doing a lot more out of lessons. But some A-level lessons might be quite similar to what you're doing. They might be obviously quite teacher-led, where the teacher at the front almost doing a lecture, and you might have some of that in GCSE courses now. Other level 3 courses like BTECs, lots of work on a computer. So it really depends. I think the best way of finding out about a post-16 class is to do the taster day in January, because those sessions will be real A-level lessons. We're not going to be just doing a video about what the course is. You'll be taught a lesson by a post-16 specialist. The other point to make is our A-levels are taught by our most specialist staff. Because of the level of the subject content, they are taught by the experts in those subjects, and they have to be, because you are working at a very high level. Right, I can see it says that the last one so far, so I can pause for breath. What's the last one? When are the PPE results given out? I assume that means for GCSE PPE results. We used to do sort of a mock results day, where we'd bring you all into the hall and we'd give you an envelope. But we find that could be quite demoralising. And actually, what matters is not the result as such, but why you've got that result. So we prefer PPE results now to be given out in lesson. They will be given out pretty much the first week back after Christmas. So some staff might have marked the PPEs. Remember, they're going to be 2 weeks before Christmas, with the post-16 ones being the last 2 weeks of the term. So the staff may have got their marks before Christmas, but if not, they'll certainly get them to you the first lesson back after Christmas. But they'll do their best to get them back as quickly as possible. It depends on how many PPE staff have got to mark. So somewhere like history probably is going to have lots of PPE marking, English likewise. Other subjects might have fewer, but the minimum requirement is first lesson back after Christmas, but as quickly as we can get them turned around. Where do you go for the free study lessons? You can use the study room, and some of our students live in Stanground, they live in Hampton, they live a long way away, and therefore wouldn't go home. But if you live around the corner, then I would suggest you might want to go home. Because of COVID, we recommended people study off-site to allow social distancing, and remember, at the moment, we are requiring people to wear masks, face coverings in the communal areas, so in the common room and the study room. And if you don't want to study in a mask, you may want to go off-site. We do have 20 dedicated post-16 laptops, and we do have 30 dedicated post-16 computers in our computer room. So 404, which is the one opposite the old conference room. If you come into the stairs that go up towards business studies, the 2 rooms down there are dedicated post-16 rooms. So the study room has 30 PCs, really, really good ones, and the common room is a dedicated study space as well. It's a social space during break times where you can sit and chat and eat your food, but during lesson time, it's a study space, for quiet study, reading, for maybe doing some research. The study room is a dedicated study space for using computers, but you can study off-site and say, we are going to continue that. So for the study sessions, it depends on your preference. If you think you'll work better in school, then I suggest you stay in school and use the time there. If you think you work better at home, away from some of the distractions of your friends, then go and study at home. But you must study. You cannot use that time for downtime. That's your time in your evenings, time at the weekends. The school day needs to be constructive study. You will get very behind very quickly if you don't use your study time properly. On the application form, it asks for predicted grades. Where does a student at Kensington get these from? We will be issuing those to you quite quickly. So the teachers are currently putting in your predicted performance data, and then that is sent home to parents, and we will share that with you. Okay, so for now, you can put in your target grades, which you should have, because they'll be on all the reports you were given in year 10. But as we generate more data, we've already done attitude to learning data, but soon we'll be doing predicted performance data. And once you get that, you can put that in. So you could use the most recent report you got from year 10. Okay, the summer term of year 10 should have some data on. You can use your target grades if you feel they're an accurate predicted grade for you. So if you feel you're on course to get your target grade, then that is your predicted grade. But if last year, when you got your data in year 10, you were well off your target grades, then it would be quite foolhardy, I think, to say that you're going to achieve those as your predicted grades. But the reason we ask for predicted grades is we want to know what are you actually going to get. And that's the same for students from other schools. But at this stage, you might not have got the most up-to-date data because it may not have been sent home. But we will be sending a report home before the end of term, and that will have more up-to-date information on. But for now, look back at your last report in year 10. Your tutors can issue those to you again if you haven't got those. We can give you a printout of that. Do we get our mock or first PP results back? The first PPs in year 11 are going to be the ones in December, in a couple of weeks' time. And yes, you'll get those back hopefully before the end of term, but certainly first week back in January. And then obviously there'll be further PPEs in March. But yeah, you'll get the results back, you'll get the papers back, and you will go through the papers in lesson, because you need to do the closing the gap activities to find out what went well, and even better if, how you can improve. And that's a key part of going forward. Who are the head or main teachers for each course? On the flyers, it says on there who to contact, okay, certainly on the website. And also, the people doing the videos on the website tend to be the main courses. So as a starting point, you're looking at the heads of faculty. Okay, so history, it would be Miss Hackett, English, it would be Mrs. Worthy, and so on. But there are some post-16 courses where there are subject specialists you may not have met before. Okay, so if in doubt, talk to the heads of faculty and they'll tell you who to talk to. So for politics, we don't have a head of politics, so you'll say, well, who is it? It's actually Mrs. Hackett, the head of history, who also is in charge of the politics course. But have a look at the website, have a look at who's doing the subject videos, look for the name of who to contact, and you'll find that. But the heads of faculty are the first point, and they will direct you to who the expert might be. Pause for breath again. All the information I've got in front of me is all on our website. So there are subject videos, which now you've had sort of the general information. The next part of your research is to look at the subjects you're interested in. And at this stage, you might have 6 or 7 subjects you're considering. In a sort of normal year, you'd have gone around the stands this evening, spoke to the subjects, looked at the backboards, got a copy of this flyer. Okay. This year, you're going to do that electronically. So you'll go onto the page for politics, say, you'll watch the video to find out if what politics is what you think it's about. Then you'll look at economics and find how is economics different from politics, and could I do the 2 subjects together? Would it be good to do politics and economics? Often the subject combination for future prime ministers, PPE, actually. You have a look at the flyer, and then if you've got any further questions that haven't been answered by the video, haven't been answered on the flyer, then go and talk to the staff in school. And obviously you'll be seeing the teachers in school. This was much harder last year when the school was shut. Because the school's open, you can go and knock on the door of the teachers of the different parts of the school. And if you're still not sure, come and see me and I'll put you in the right direction. My office is opposite the post-16 toilets, directly above the careers hub here. I know many of you know where that is, because even though they're post-16 toilets, many of you still come there. Okay, so this gives you an excuse to come to that part of the school, knock on my door and ask me your questions. What if you want to do a certain course that needs a grade 6 for maths, but you're doing lower tier and can only get a grade 5? Does that mean you can't do the course? No, it may be we'll consider you with a grade 5, but we need to be realistic. If you should be doing a higher tier at maths, we'll talk to the maths department and find out why that is. But if they put you into the lower tier because they feel that actually you'll do well to get a grade 5, if there's a chance you're going to get a grade 6, in all honesty, you'll be doing the higher tier. Normally they put people into the lower tier because they think they're probably going to get a grade 4, but might get a grade 5 on a good day. It's not normally the other way around. But if you are a competent mathematician and would be able to cope with it, then we may allow you to have a trial on that course. I have to do something called the school census, which is normally the first week in October, where we tell the government every student who's with us in the 6th form and every course that they're doing. And all schools and colleges have to do that. So we can allow you to have a trial for the first month up until the census day, but it's got to be realistic. If the course requires a grade 6 and you're only going to get a grade 3 or 4, then that's not going to be in your interest to do that course, because you won't be able to cope with the maths content. So the reason why I asked for a 5 or 6 in maths or economics is because you have to do lots of percentage change and diagrams and manipulating numbers and data, and you need to be a fairly strong mathematician to do that. But you don't have to be a grade 7 or 8 mathematician. A grade 5 or 6 will be sufficient, but we will look at that individually. Again, that's the sort of thing you will talk to me when I do the interview. And those interviews will be up to half an hour, so they'll be quite intense, and we'll go through all of those sort of things. But I will be honest with you, I'll show you what the data is showing on the screen and what the grade you need, and we'll talk about it then. Right, now it's telling me on my list of questions that is the last question, but it may be you have a question following tonight. So I would suggest any follow-up questions, you may want to come and email me. My email is k.abbott, that's k.abbott at kscs.org.uk. I'm sure we'll get on the website somewhere if it's not already. And you can email me and I'll respond directly. That's parents and students. So the students can come and see me in my office and ask you questions face to face. And some of the questions may be directed to the subject specialists. Okay, I'm just pausing to see if there's any more questions coming in. It doesn't say that anyone's typing on here. Normally when I can see a new question coming in, it said that somebody was typing. Nobody's typing at the moment, which would suggest that it might be it. Hopefully I've answered all your questions, but I'm sure there will be some more subsequent questions following that. So if you do have any, feel free to ask. If any parents want to see me, I can arrange a Teams meeting. At the moment, the local authority advice, you may be aware that we are an enhanced area for COVID at the moment. That's why we're wearing face coverings in corridors again. But it's difficult to bring people in for a meeting, but I can certainly do a telephone call with you. I can do a Teams meeting if you want to do that. Okay, and hopefully in the not too distant future, we will be able to bring you back into school again. But 𝗪𝗃𝗃 days are really important, but I can't do 𝗪𝗃𝗃 day until we've done the application. So get an application in, that will allow me to see what people are interested in doing and what combinations. That's really important. The combinations this year are likely to be different from the combinations in previous years. Okay, one year, nobody wanted to do history and art, so we put them in the same block, and then we found out that actually it was causing a clash. Where we can, we'll move things, okay? But get your applications in early. I'll start interviewing you early. I'll create the blocks by the 3rd of December. We'll let you choose the subjects you want to do. You'll choose 5 on 𝗪𝗃𝗃 day because we want you to be able to try more options. So we won't give you like a free. You'll choose 5 subjects to see what your options are, and then obviously you can then decide which 4 you want to do going forward. But we do recommend you go to 5. What we'll try and do is we'll give you a time in tutor time where you'll be given what we think the blocks are, and then you'll choose from those 5 blocks. So we'll have provisional blocks in place before Christmas. 𝗪𝗃𝗃 day will be split, I should say. The people who are going to a sixth form or a college doing A-levels will come here on the 7th of January. We're working with Stamford College for the people who are going to college, and that really is people who need to do vocational courses, who aren't really capable of doing the level 3 courses of A-levels. They will go on a coach to college. Okay, so we'll have sessions about hair and beauty and construction, electricians, that sort of thing. But for people who have the ability and the desire to do A-levels, we will recommend they come here to do A-levels. Even if they think they're going to do A-levels at another school, come and see our A-level teachers, come and find out what the A-levels are about. And that will be how 𝗪𝗃𝗃 day works. So probably half of you will be in sixth form tasters, half of you may be at a college taster. But you'll find out more about that after the applications have been done. Somebody said that was very helpful and informative. Thank you. I aim to please. And thank you for your questions. I think that's it for this evening, but say it's not the end of asking questions. You just ask them in a different format. But hopefully we've managed to make this sort of the best of a difficult situation with COVID. We're getting quite good at all this sort of stuff now, this virtual evenings. See, 2 more people are typing. I think they're typing to say we're finished, but I'm just seeing if there's any final questions before I wrap up. The one thing I will always say, I'll always answer your questions honestly. I won't mislead you. Okay, we can't run a course, I'll tell you. If it's not right for you, I'll tell you. If you're not suited to it, I'll tell you. It's about making sure that you're on the right courses. It's got to be right for you, it's got to be right for us. And that's what we aim to do here. And actually, we've been very successful in doing that over the years, which is why our results are so good. I think this is a very good sixth form. I'm sending my own son to this school. He's in year 8. He will come to this sixth form in the next few years. If he chooses to do so, I fully recommend it to you too. Okay, thanks a lot, Ben. Bye-bye.